and welcome down to episode number 31 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove in Victoria, Australia. And my other mate, down south, down further south than me, Cam Blake, down in Hobart Town, Tasmania, Australia. G'day, Cam.
G'day, Brendan. We are down south, and I'm a bit further down south, and you can't get much further south than me. Well, you can, but you might get a bit cold.
Yeah, you don't probably want to live there. It's a bit further. That'd be awesome. Let's do a workshop in Antarctica.
I'll tell you what, that's my bucket list. I know we're like 5 seconds into the show, but we've spoken about bucket list before, and Antarctica is on my bucket list.
Yeah, I was just about to say it'd be pretty cool. Oh,
that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It's been a long day.
It'd be a pretty chilled out kind of trip, I reckon.
Don't. That's so bad.
Anyway, I'm good, thank you for asking.
Welcome to Dad's Jokes Down South Photo Show. Good. Thanks to everyone who tuned in to the live show on Sunday night. We had a ball doing that.
That was great.
I really, speaking for myself, not speaking for Cameron, but he will have his own opinion. I love them. I really enjoy doing it because the interaction is great, and seeing people's questions coming through live is really good, and hopefully answering them. It was great, and I think it makes for really good content. Did you enjoy that, Cam?
Yeah, I know you absolutely thrive on the live shows. I know that every time we get off the live show, you're like, I love doing them live shows. I love them, and I'm the same. I really enjoy it because it's almost like you are in front of a live studio audience in a way. Like you're getting that real time feedback, and it is nice because people listen to the podcast, and I'm sure I do it with podcasts I listen to. Like you're almost talking to the podcast, even though it's pre-recorded. Like, oh yeah, I get that. Oh, you know what? She really did murder him. That's weird. All those kind of things. So it's good to get that interaction with people, and it gives people an hour to fill in listening to us carry on about photography.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that I can just click go live and it's on the YouTube channel and I don't have to edit anything, but that's fine. I don't mind editing. Don't take that the wrong way. It's not
what you said 2 minutes ago.
It's fine. I love editing. Editing is what I do best. Yeah. We will come to backgrounds in a second, but I would just like to ask how your week has been. Cam, you been out... Been behind the camera in the last few days? Or
I have actually. Well, not really much behind. Oh, look out! The show started and the wife's walking through the background. There she goes again.
Nice.
She does it. If anyone's watching on YouTube, if you really slow down the frame rate, you could probably see her love heart little boxer shorts that she wears around the house when she's running through the back of our screen.
I'm pixelating that.
Pixelated out. I actually went out. I went out yesterday. I went up to Launceston with a friend. We went out for dinner up there. We actually drove 2 hours to this really nice steak restaurant, the Black Cow restaurant in Launceston. But on the way, we stopped in Ross, which is that beautiful little historic township, and got a nice little shot of the Ross Bridge. And I got some sort of nice sort of yellow and sort of golden light and the reeds and the grass in the foreground with the old bridge. So that was pretty cool. But that's about all I've done, really. I'm hoping to get some more. I was going to go out today, actually. I thought maybe it was pretty moody and very humid down here. I thought I'd go out and try and get some conditions, but I ended up just chilling out. So
yeah, the humidity has been off the charts here in southeastern Australia.
Go ahead.
I
was going to say, I gather you haven't been out. You've been pretty busy with the shops.
Look, it could be a case of be careful what you wish for, because after a couple of years of it being pretty darn flat on the business front, it's safe to say things are back in full swing, which is great. And of course, I would never complain. I mean, the alternative sucks, but I like being busy. However, hard to find staff at the moment, Cam. We've advertised for staff, casual position at our store at Ocean Grove, and... We have had a couple of resumes, which I'm working my way through, but normally when I advertise for staff, I get about 30 resumes. This time I've had like 2 or 3, so it's a bit of a battle, but it is what it is. We're just going to work through it, and it just means that I end up doing 14-hour days, which is not going to kill me. It's fine. It's a total first world problem. I understand that.
But still, it's a big day, back to back.
It is, and it's a bit relentless at the moment, and it's interfering with my Wednesday golf, and we just can't have that, Cam.
Oh, that can't be. The advertising that you're doing, is that for casual, part-time, full-time?
Yeah, so I'm advertising for a casual position with the potential for more. So the reason I'm advertising it like that is because the growth is back, but we just don't know how much growth is going to be. And I understand that makes it a bit restrictive for people to apply for a position. But at the same time, there's an opportunity there, and hopefully, and also I think with the country reopening as well, we might see the backpacker market come back. And generally, the backpacker market means they move into the hospitality, and then people that have been doing hospitality because there was nothing else around then move up maybe into retail and other jobs like that. So it's all cyclical. It'll change.
And everyone loves photography, but having a bit of a passion for photography, working in a camera shop would definitely be a given, wouldn't it?
Yeah, look, ideally I've got someone who's keen on photography, and a lot of people are. Someone who's keen on photography and also might have a bit of photoshopping experience would be great, and a bit of retail experience. So yeah, I mean it's relatively specific, but
you could get
at the same time I would have thought we'd have more applications. But anyway,
you can get Ash Hughes. He's got nothing else to do, has he? Get him to come work for you.
No, I've said to him, you need to quit your job and come and work for me. Ash is taking off around Australia in early 2023.
Oh, that he is too. Anyway, this is not the Ash. This is not the Ash Hughes show. Anyway,
no, it's not. We did that a couple of months
ago. Well, there was a callback last week that someone said he needs to come back on the show, but I don't know. I think he needs to submit a resume, to be honest.
That can be arranged. Your background, moving right along. Your background this week, Cam. What are we looking at there? And for those, can you just explain it for those who are not visual?
For those at home that aren't visual, this is a sort of a couple of mountain ranges with some really cool sort of valleys in between, with some sun rays coming in from the left of screen, right of screen, depending which way you want to look at it. So it's a real late afternoon shot. But it looks like it's taken from a drone, but it's not. It's actually taken from a light plane on our way back from the southwest of Tassie. This is actually a bit of an older shot, probably about a year and a half old now. But we just got that really good sort of 5-10 minutes of light where the sun just sort of sneaks under the bottom layer of clouds and lights all the valleys below. So, I always come back to this kind of shot. I like that sort of light rays lighting up valleys and the light to dark and the moodiness. So it's a beautiful spot. Where you can see there, you can't really get in any roads. That's a good couple of days walking into there, at least 3 or 4 days. So very unexplored as well. So.
Nice.
And yours?
Sorry, what part of Tassie is that?
It's the southwest. So I think the mountain range that's popping out the side of my head going out towards the sun, I believe that is part of the Eastern Arthurs Range, and the one over the back there behind me might also be part of the Western Arthurs Range. So it's out near Lake Pedder, out that sort of way, out sort of the southwest coast of Tassie. Looks awesome. It's an amazing spot. You can get out there in certain spots and roads, and one of the if you ever come into Tassie, anyone, and you want to, obviously you come in with me because you've booked in a workshop, no doubt. But if you haven't, shame on you. But if you do come down here and you do have a hire car, which most people do, make sure you go down to a place called the Scotts Peak Dam Lookout, or it's also referred to as Red Knoll Lookout. It's out towards Lake Pedder, out through Mount Field, out the back of Hobart. But it's one of the most picturesque roads you can drive on, and you can just stop every couple of kilometres and just surrounded 360-degree views like this. It's an incredible spot. It's up there with one of the prettiest roads in Australia that I've driven on. But yeah, it's out that way, sort of southwest. So
well, the light that you've got going on there just absolutely nails it. It's so nice, and all the, for want of a better term, all the creases in the valley and all the little hills and hillocks and stuff like that. Yeah, where you've got the contrast of light and dark. It's really cool shot.
And the beautiful thing about Tassie as well, we have all these button grass plains. So in between all the mountains, you've got these valleys and plains, and it's all button grass. And as soon as you get to that magic hour, that golden hour, it literally lights up yellow and gold. It has such a great colour to shoot. So yeah, it's not hard to create really nice shots. But we were lucky. We had a really good pilot on the way back. He took us out of the way because he could see the light he sort of followed the light a bit himself, really. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And you're back.
Very handy.
You're still at Port Fairy by the look of it. And you're back around.
The more I think about that trip to Port Fairy, the more I the more I like it. I really, really did enjoy my time down there.
Yeah.
Didn't take as many photos as I thought I would, but when I did, they came strong. It was good.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. That lighthouse is brilliant. It's such a focal point for the whole area, really.
Yep.
Because it's so low lying as well. Like as you can see, there's not a lot of hills and mountains like behind you. Like it's a very flat sort of terrain there around the Port Fairy area. So this is a drone shot that I did on the sunset on the last Sunday night that I was there. Just put the drone out over the ocean, angled it down a little bit to get a bit of wave action. Yeah. And then
the
went
waves
ahead and
look good.
it was like a 1/15th, 1/20th of a second from the drone. It's just ridiculous how it can handle longer exposure photography. So I'd like to point out, and hang on, I'm going to flick it to full screen just so everyone can get the full effect of this, that I am still well and truly in the 4/3 aspect ratio, and I cannot, for the life of me, work it out. If you know how to fix this issue,
God.
It's because I use my phone as my webcam in the Zoom meeting. Now, if I got an actual webcam, which would be a piece of cake for me to do, but I've never bothered to, that would change straight away. But apparently, it's a glitch in the Zoom software that... because
sounds like more of a glitch with the operator.
No, apparently. No. Hear me out. Apparently on phones, because phones rock a 4/3 sensor, to give you the most resolution, they don't allow you to crop in the Zoom app. So the native resolution, it uses native resolution on the front-facing camera, apparently.
Right.
Which I just Googled, by the way. So
I'm Googling now to see if you...
Yeah. But anyway, this is not content that the viewers are going to...
No, they don't care about that. But that's
great. But anyway, it's interesting that anyway, I might just get myself a webcam and fix all that. I really, really enjoyed the trip down to Port Fairy, and just reflecting on what I've been up to this week. I'm doing a lot of work. I really need to get out and take more photos. The last 2-3 times that I've been out shooting, I've got so much out of it, and forget the images. I took some nice photos. That's great. What I got out of it is what we're going to talk a bit about tonight, our main topic for the night, and that is why photography is good for the soul, and we're going to discuss how photography can help clear your mind and help you overcome. So, which was, it's a really good topic, because, as I say, the last 2-3 times I've been out shooting, I've just walked away on an absolute high. And of course, I think the main reason for that is that you're out in nature, or you're out at least experiencing what nature can deliver. Yeah,
I think, again, this is a great topic, and I think it's a topic that probably doesn't get spoken about enough, really, in the sort of forums that we hang out in, really. I think everyone understands how good photography is for your soul, but again, like anything that goes around your mental health and stuff like that, it's not necessarily discussed that widely and openly. So, I agree. Like, I love going out and taking photos, and we've done our little manual film click thing and how good it is to wind film on and the good feeling you get out of that. But I think you're right. There is something to it where you just get out in nature. If you can leave your phone in the car or turn your phone off or whatever, and it really just becomes you, your camera, and what you're looking at. And it is good for the soul. You get out and you might come away with some nice photos, but I guarantee you very rarely come back not feeling better mentally for going out on a trip to, like Port Fairy or out where I've gone in the background here. There is definitely something about it, and I think that's an important topic, because this day and age, everyone has their own little demons and things like that, and just look at what's going on today in the world. We've got this whole conflict going over in Europe. Life's not easy as it used to be. A lot more stresses and things like that. So.
Particularly if we reflect on what's gone on in the last couple of years, and let's be honest, if the pandemic never happened, this show wouldn't exist. One of the reasons we decided to launch this show was because I think we were looking to probably reconnect with what we do, and in a slightly different way. And the podcast has given us that avenue. So it's been this has been really cathartic for me, and I say weekly, it's not about the likes and the clicks and the views and all that sort of stuff.
No,
it's about getting together with like-minded people and talking about the thing that drives us and that we're passionate about. And nothing can make me happier than when I'm out in the field with a camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I think you're right exactly about why we started this show as well. It's absolutely nothing about stroking our egos. Yes, we plug our workshops and our businesses, and we have a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter and stuff. But really, to me, I find these podcasts, it's almost like running a bit of a workshop. It's almost like running a live, sort of photography chat, like the same sort of thing that we do on workshops when we go out. And we're hoping, or I hope that. These episodes that we put out make people feel a bit better about themselves for 45 minutes, an hour each week. And if we can make people have a bit of a laugh and at our expense or their own expense or whatever. But it all comes back to the camera, and it all comes back to, like you said, getting out into nature and enjoying yourself. And I've just looked up a quote. There's a famous quote by Peter Dombrovskis, the famous Tasmanian landscape photographer.
Never heard of him.
Again, if you haven't looked him up, God, just do yourself a favour. But he had a famous quote about when he used to go out. So this guy used to take a large format camera, he'd go out in the bush for, in the wilderness, out to these sort of spots behind me for, days on end, if not weeks. And his quote was, when you go out there into the wilderness, you don't get away from it all, you get back to it all. You come home to what's important, and you come home to yourself. And I think that you couldn't be any more spot on with that, because you get away from, like I said, you get away from all the stresses, work, family pressures, whatever it might be. Even if it's an hour a week, it's just as good as going for a walk along your local trail, I think. And then if you can come back and share some nice images and capture some nice light, or capture something quite unique, then that's a bonus to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds kind of weird and a little bit pathetic to say this, but I make time religiously to go play golf. And I know we talk about golf a lot on this show, so forgive us. But I do it because I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm a golf tragic.
Yeah.
I'm also a photography tragic. I love photos. I love looking at images. I love imagery. Instagram was a godsend for someone like me, because I love scrolling through and looking at images that make me stop and pause and actually take them in.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at here is, as much as I can book in for a round of golf, why don't I book in weekly
a round of photography
for a photo shoot? Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And that's an issue, I think, because I've been watching the sunset out here, because we record this time of year. We're recording this. It's around 8:30, and down here in Victoria, it's when the sun's setting.
Yeah.
And I haven't been out and shot a sunset for ages, but as I say, like, I can schedule my life, for things I enjoy. Well, why aren't I scheduling time to go and take photos? So I think that's something that personally I can change, and if the listeners and viewers can form a habit like that, I think a couple of things will happen. One, you will improve your photography, which can also be quite cathartic as well. But you will also chill the hell out. I think it'll help you.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what you're saying about Instagram. Even I rag Instagram out and social media out a bit, but you're right. Like there is something about the medium of photography that is really important, because I get lots of comments from people who enjoy my work, and it's not necessarily about, oh, that's a great photo. It's almost a comment saying, thank you for taking me there, because I'll never go there, or I can't physically go there, or I don't have the means, or I'm on the other side of the world, or whatever it might be. And that's something I think photography is really, really good at, is it can transport you mentally to an incredible spot. So whether or not it's, the northern lights up in the middle of nowhere, or, if it's in Antarctica that we're talking about, or wherever, photography, they say a picture tells 1,000 words. Well, it takes you to somewhere that, maybe you can't get to. So it's really important that we still continue to share our photography. But like you said as well, for the guys that enjoy photography, it's just as important to give yourself time to go out and do it. It should never be a chore to me. If you're doing any hobby that you like and it's becoming a chore, then it's gone past being a hobby and it's become a bit of an issue. So I'm the same. I always try and, even last night, I got a shot of that Ross Bridge. It's a nice shot, but it's not nowhere near my best work. But it was just nice to stop, to get out of the car. It was really balmy and really, quite warm in the Midlands of Tassie, and the bridge was great, the light was great, good company. Took a couple of photos, was happy with that. Got back in the car and went and had a nice dinner. So we only did 30 minutes of shooting. But yeah, then again, I think it's all about that sort of memory of where you were as well. So yeah, I think it's very important. So I think people need to really make time to get out and do the things they love.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny how getting out and into these places is, as we say, quite cathartic and stress relieving and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But there is also that moment in time when you take the photo and that it's not only that you've been able to capture it and you've honed your skills over time to know how to capture it and known how to set your camera and all that sort of stuff to technically get the photo.
Yeah.
But that euphoric moment when you're actually there just witnessing it. You know? And the one that jumps out in my mind was the trip to Mungo last year, back in May last year, Mungo National Park. And I can remember it so vividly. We found a really cool spot that I don't know that anyone had really. Well, I'd never seen it on a map before. We sort of stumbled across it, pitched ourselves up. It was myself and my brother-in-law, and who is a very, very keen amateur photographer himself. We sort of just pitched ourselves up, set up our tripods. He wandered off 300-400 meters away over this way. He found his own little composition, and we sat there and we waited for the light to come.
Yeah,
we didn't talk to each other and yell across this. It was absolutely silent. It was ridiculous how quiet. It was scary quiet. It was that quiet. Not a breath of wind. And it was just like, we're watching the sun dip down. I'm like, well, this is going to be pretty special, like no matter what.
Yeah.
And then a car came along and you could hear it for kilometres away and it kicked up dust. And I said there was no wind. There was probably just enough to drift the dust across the sun.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, the colour just exploded. It was just this natural dust filter going across the sunset.
Yeah. Cool.
I'll chuck a photo up now. I've probably shown you this photo before, but this particular image, I've never tried to sell it. It's not even on my website. It's just something for me. I think I don't even know if I will sell it. I'm definitely going to do a massive big canvas on it and chuck it up here in my shed or inside.
Yeah.
And it's always going to take me back to that moment where it really was a moment of euphoria and to the point where I think I even gave a Yahoo. It was just like, look at this, it was so good.
And I think the other thing about those moments, and I'm pretty sure anyone listening or anyone who's been shooting for a little while, you've all had that moment. Whether or not you've captured the photo, that's a different story. But we've all had that moment where you just sit there and you just go, wow, that's pretty cool. That's really pretty. Or how good's that light? I did a shot out in the southwest once, and it's probably one of my favourite shots. It's just it's same sun rays going between all these. So it's like a lake and then the sun rays, and there's a rain shower going through the sun. And I took the photo and straight in the back of my camera, like that's going to be a cracker. That's going to work really well. But then I just looked at it, and I looked around, and I was on this red knoll lookout that I advised people before to go, and you're sort of up about a couple hundred metres above this lake. And I looked around, and I thought to myself, I'm like, I am the only person in the entire earth who's seen this right now. No one else has seen it. No one else has actually been here and seen this moment. And it took my breath away for about 20 seconds. I'm like, that's bloody incredible. Like, in a world where everyone knows everything and knows everywhere and does everything, I know for a fact that I'm the only person that's seen the exact same scene here at the moment. And to me, that was a bit of a turning point for my photography, was to try and find more of those moments where I was somewhere where I know no one else was, watching something happen that no one else was seeing, and doing my best to capture it on a sensor. And I think if you can use that mantra to go out and try and create interesting photos, then I think that'll really help people. If you can go, you don't have to be on your own, you can be with a friend or whatever, but minimize who you go out with, try and really isolate the spot you go to, and try and get to somewhere that you just don't think anyone's going to be, and get a photo of something that no one's ever going to see. Because like you said, I can look at that photo in 40 years' time, and I can tell you exactly what the weather was, what camera, what lens, what setting, what day, what month, what year, the whole thing. It just gets stamped on your brain. Yeah. And it's almost like like an index in your brain that if you need to go somewhere nice just to get over, you might be having a crappy week, or you might be having issues in a relationship or money troubles, whatever, but you can go and call on that moment, and it's good for your soul. It's good to clear your mind.
No, it absolutely is. And I think as well, it's as far as your camera skills are concerned, I just want to talk about that for a second. If you go out and take photos, on a regular basis. Now, and we're not saying you have to go and find what Cam took a photo of, or go to Lake Mungo or whatever. Go to your local park, your local national park, your local beach, anywhere that's relatively close by that you can get to and get back home within an hour, for example.
Yeah.
If you do that regularly, it becomes sort of self-perpetuating in terms of you will start to get better naturally at photography.
Yes. That's right.
And one feeds the other. In other words, you get better at photography, you start taking better images, you start chasing better images.
Yeah.
And it all, as I say, it self-perpetuates. And to me, that's what, although at the moment I'm in that time of my life where we've got kids, they're in high school, they've got their needs, I've got a business to run, we've got bills to pay, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I love the skills that I'm gaining at the moment, because I know that once the kids are off our hands and the R word comes, retirement, I'm going to have a really cool thing. It'll probably hopefully become a hobby again.
Yeah.
Where I can go out and start chasing the landscapes. So I can't recommend enough, if you battling a little bit, at the moment with everything that's going on in the world, or like Cam said, if you've got some personal issues and things like that, get your camera out and go and just go for a wander. And it doesn't have to be on your own. Find someone like-minded if you want. And
you're 100% right with that as well. And like you were saying with your brother-in-law at Mungo National Park, like I've been out, the workshops I run, I might have 5 or 6 people, and we can go out to the Tarkine coastline where you've got a bit of room. And we can literally be spread out over a kilometre, and not one person's saying anything to each other. But if that sunrise goes off or sunset goes off, you don't need any words. You just look at each other and straight away that you're in a moment that's really special, and you'll remember who you were there with. Like I said, just like I said, it gives you these all good little feelings going through your brain. And everyone's got some demons going on at the moment. Life's not easy as it probably should be. But 100%, Brendan, if you can pick up your camera, allocate an hour a week, go to your local beach, go to your local park, whatever it might be. It doesn't necessarily have to be necessarily landscape photography. You can make your own little home studio and do portraits with your partner or something like that. Whatever it is, just to turn your brain off everything else and focus, pun intended, on the good stuff, which is photography. So I think it's really important. And I've seen a big, huge jump in the last probably 5 to 10 years that people are using photography as a tool for anxiety and mental health issues. And I think it's great. Like, I think if it's going to help you be better for yourself internally, then, like I said, it's not all about the photo. It's about the whole process and the whole thing about getting out there. So get it done, folks. Get a camera. It's like buying a dog, I reckon. People say, if you're lonely or you've got some issues, buy a dog. Well, if you got some issues, mental health issues or anxiety or whatever, go buy a camera if you can afford to, of course. Or
it doesn't eat as much and it won't bite the mailman.
That's true. It won't wee over your floor.
No, exactly. So awesome topic. And to that end as well, if you're listening and you need some advice, if you want, you don't have to come and do a workshop. You can drop us a line. If you've got a specific question about something that you're not quite getting right, or you just want some advice on, you might be looking at a new camera, a new lens or whatever, and you want to run it past us, then by all means hit us up in the comments below. We'd love to talk to you. And also to that end, if you do find yourself battling, the number for Lifeline 131114 we'll put up on the screen, and of course Beyond Blue 1300 224636. We'll put those numbers up on the screen for you as well.
Yeah, and they are, having my background, I worked in social services or Department of Human Services for many years, and we had to transfer many customers through to Lifeline or Beyond Blue or other services, and there used to be this whole stigma about, I won't ring them. I don't need to talk to anyone. if you do need help, give them a call, because they are fantastic. They are really easy to talk to, super professional. Your privacy is completely protected. It might be just that conversation with someone else who's not in your circle, just to clear your head out. But again, also just on what you said as well, if people have got any questions or want advice about photography stuff, again, Brendan and I aren't in this to make money or have our ego stroked. If you're looking to buy a camera, or you've got something that you can't figure out, just drop us an email or a message or something like that, and we'll do our best to help you out as much as we can.
Yeah, and if you want to keep it private, just drop us an email rather than put it in the comments below. We understand
that's right.
that. That's totally fine as well. Or you probably even find us on Facebook and DM us or whatever you do, whatever the kids do these days, Cameron.
Yeah, I don't know. TikTok video, asking the question.
Could you imagine me doing a TikTok video, Cam?
Someone asked me the other day about TikTok. I went, what? TikTok?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Do I look like I'm 15? No.
No, you certainly don't.
I'm 30, remember?
Great topic. Let's talk a little bit about some gear, because our friends over at Canon have dropped a couple of...
Proud show sponsor.
have dropped a couple of humdingers today. Now, forgive me, they're not landscape... Well...
I've got no idea what they are. I have got no idea what these are. This is new to me, folks. So
Canon today have announced an 800mm f5.6 RF lens,
of course,
and a 1200mm f8 RF mount lens.
1200mm.
That will sell for $17,000 and $20,000 US respectively. Now, it's fascinating to me that they've gone down this path. A 1200mm f8 lens. Like, first off, like, can you imagine what this? I would love to have a crack at it. I would love to see what that delivers, particularly at f8. Now, I'm assuming they're happy to let them drift out to f8, considering how good sensors are, and the dynamic range in sensors and stuff is going to probably drag it back to an equivalent f4, maybe. I don't know. But image stabilized. Now, apparently, it's the 35th anniversary of Canon's EOS line is coming up, and so they're doing it. They're releasing it in time with that. Pretty amazing. Have you got them up on this? You haven't got them there, Ken?
I am looking at them now. So
yeah.
Geez, they'd be bloody heavy.
They would be incredibly heavy.
I was looking at the spec. They look great, and gee whiz, they're expensive.
Now, not only. You've also got access to Canon's new teleconverters as well, which is an RF 1.4 and an RF 2 times extender or teleconverter. Yeah. So effectively, does that make the 1200mm lens a 2400mm lens? I could shoot you from here. I'm looking forward to seeing Neil Armstrong's footprint on the moon. Thanks. Can we get a shot of that? Thanks, Canon. That'd be pretty amazing. So I'll put a link in the description. You can go and check these behemoths out.
Here's a couple little throwaway specs for you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right.
So the 800 has a minimal focal distance of 6 meters and weighs 4,500 grams, so 4.5 kilos.
4.5 kilos. Okay. That's probably lighter than I thought, actually.
Strangely enough, the 1200mm has a minimal focal distance of 4.3 meters. Don't know how that works.
Okay. That's physics.
And actually weighs a kilo less. How does it work?
No, I think I know why. I think it's because it actually has less elements and less groupings of elements.
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look at that.
I read that somewhere. So
the 1200 has 26 elements in 18 groups. Mm-hmm. And the 800 has 14 elements in 18 groups. So, I don't know. Okay. I don't know how that works. I don't know how it works.
Not sure. Could also be lens construction as well. What they've actually used to try and keep the weight down on the 1200.
Wow. So this is clearly aimed at wildlife sport photography.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you, Cam. You know, are you going to jump into the bank account and grab one of those, or? Yeah,
it won't fit on my Olympus, but I'm sure there's an adapter.
No, someone would have 3D printed an adapter for this bad boy already. You can guarantee it.
Oh yeah, guarantee it. I probably wouldn't, but they do look spectacular. And Canon, you know, if you're going to buy a telephoto lens, then probably Canon's your brand. Like they've been world leaders in those super telephoto lenses for many years. So,
so who are we targeting here? As you say,
rich
wildlife. Well, professionals. I mean, if you ran a professional sports agency, for example, companies like Routers and these guys, and I was going to say AAP. Is that who they are? Yeah,
AIPP.
AAP. Anyway, people that run Getty Images, for example. These guys would be they'd be chucking a few of them into their arsenal for things like definitely for sport, that's for sure. But I'd love to get my hands on one of them and take it to Africa or something like that.
Just because I'm an OM system wonderful person that promotes them, the artist formerly known as Olympus. So I've just looked up there. They've got a really good super telephoto lens as well, which is it's a micro 4/3 lens. So obviously it's a 150 to 400. So it's a 300 to 1000 mil f4.5 with a built-in teleconverter, which is pretty incredible. That has, I'm just having a look at what the weight of that is, 1.8 kilos, and it's $11,000.
Only 11 grand.
Only 11 grand compared. What was the 1200 and 800? 17,000 or something?
20 grand US.
Yeah.
So that converts to about 25K. Anyway, look, who cares what they cost? I'm sure they're amazing. So go and check those out, guys. Particularly you Canon users. Mel, I know you're listening. Go and have a look. And if you want me to order one in for you, they're available in late May. I can look after you there, mate. No problem at all.
Would you give him a down south photo show discount?
I'll give him a cleaning cloth for it.
You know what? You could give him a filter and you'd probably make a loss. Because the filters would cost a fortune on those things, I'd imagine.
100%.
Yeah, that's crazy. And amazing technology. And that's for the RF. That's for the mirrorless cameras, isn't it?
Correct. So it's their first foray into super telephoto super duper telephoto for their RF system. So,
can you imagine if the brochure came out and said it's super duper telephoto?
Yeah,
that'd be pretty funny.
It would make us all look awesome. We have a favourite segment of ours, a pet segment of ours.
It's back.
Back with a vengeance. Dear Cam is back, but this week Dear Cam is with a twist because it's actually a dear Brendan.
Yes.
However, I mean, you may be able to answer this, Cam, but it says it in the second line. So
let me. I'll read it out this time because it's a dear Brendan.
All right. I hand on heart, I have glanced over it. I can't remember the question, so go.
Radio. So, hi gents. So straight away it's sort of directed at both of us, but then I get shot down pretty quick.
Well, that gets brownie points because I'm included in the Dear Cam segment.
The next line gets even more brownie points because I love your show. Keep up the humour and the good work. So this person's on a roll.
Lovely, thank you.
And then they go a bit downhill. I have a Dear Brendan question, though Cam can probably answer it too. Yeah, so it's a dear. Maybe it's a Dear Gent segment. Maybe people don't want to. Maybe people don't want to hear my answers. I'd like to print some images onto good quality canvas rather than cheap printing places. I'm just going to throw in there like Harvey Norman. They didn't say that, but I'm going to chuck it in there. Since this is going to be obviously more expensive to obviously print on more expensive paper, do I need to do anything different in preparing my images than I would printing on photo paper? Any tips on guaranteeing the image prints as good as it looks on the screen? So that's from Jesse. Jesse is a loyal listener, follower / watcher. So thank you, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
I'll give it a quick crack if you want.
Okay.
I like if I'm.
It's called Dear Cam after all, so
it's Dear Cam / just leave Cam out of it and ask Brendan, but that's okay. I'm not offended much. So I would think that if I'm preparing an image for canvas versus photo paper, personally I don't edit them any differently, or prepare them any differently. So my short answer to that would be, you probably want to prepare and edit it as best you possibly can, regardless of what medium you're going to print it out on. But having said that, I don't know. There's different canvases. There's definitely different photo papers. Some images suit different types of material, paper, canvas, rag, whatever it might be. So that's probably where I lose out on this question. But to me, I'd be saying, in regards to preparing your image, I'd be preparing it exactly how you would, regardless of what you're printing it on. but Brendan, who is the master printer in the the duo here, you might be able to shed a bit more light on that. What do you think?
I am a printer of photographs. That is correct. And what you've just said there is mostly correct. Don't change the way you prepare your image depending on what surface it's going to be printed on. Prepare it as you normally would. And by that, I mean prepare it so it looks as best it can, you're as happy with it as you can be on your screen. There's a couple of things here. First of all, not all images are created equal when it comes to canvas, and that is, to give you an example, the photos in our backgrounds, Cam's versus mine. Cam's, in my opinion, would look better on canvas than mine, and the reason being there's a lot of water in my photo and a highly reflective surfaces in my water, which still look great on canvas, but they look better on pearl finishes, papers, that sort of stuff, and also more of your metallic papers as well when you get the reflections and things like that. The shot behind Cam, which has got a much more muted sort of matte look to it, really suits canvas. Now, don't let that put you off getting your images printed on canvas. It's just be selective with which images you are putting on canvas. For example, rainforest shots look great on canvas. The aerial bird's eye view shots with a lot of color saturation can look really good on canvas as well. Canvas is a matte finish, has no reflection whatsoever. So that's what I love about canvas, is that it is that matte finish. It means when you hang it in a room, particularly a well-lit room, so let's say you get a lot of daylight, a lot of windows, quite often if you put an image that's glass, even if it's non-reflective glass, you'll still get some kind of reflection.
That's right. It'll still reflect something, won't it?
Yeah, and you'll be looking at a fantastic mirror of yourself rather than looking at a great photo that you've taken. So going back to the top, you're exactly right. Companies like, and I hate bad-mouthing, but they do cheap prints. They do it for a price. They're price-driven, and these are your mass merchants. Cam mentioned one before. There's also Harvey Norman. There's Kmart. There's Big W. There's Officeworks. All these guys. Now they I didn't say that. They print to a price point, okay? And the first thing that goes when you're talking about price is quality. So I use Ilford canvases at the moment. I use Ilford Natural Canvas, which is a beautiful canvas, and the reason it's beautiful is because it's so good to stretch. Because I do all the canvas stretching on the like I mount them on the stretcher bar. And just recently, and I'm talking this year, I have moved over to the Ilford Galicia canvas, which is bloody stunning. It's beautiful. It's got a slightly heavier texture on the weave of the canvas, so that texture of the canvas comes through a lot more. It's a heavier weight canvas as well, and slightly more expensive when I sell it. However, it's fantastic. Now, when it comes to image preparation, the reason why you get it looking as good as you can is because it comes up on my screen, and my screen is calibrated to the canvas. So, so I use Calibrate. I use profiles that are set up for the Galicia canvas and set up for natural canvas. As a matter of fact, I've even custom profiled the natural canvas because that's what I use the most. A staff member who works for me, Michael, actually made a custom profile, and that is printing out a color chart on the canvas that we print on my printer, and then we had that scanned. The name of the tool escapes me at the moment, but it's basically a scanner that picks up every single color and then basically sets the profile. No two printers are the same. It is impossible. Even if they come off the same production line right next to each other, no two printers are the same. There are always slight discrepancies in the color. And it can be a little bit frustrating as well. So, Jesse, calibrate your monitor first and foremost. Get your monitor calibrated so you've got a base to work from, either by using a calibration tool or just even to the point where we can send you a sample a photo of yours printed on canvas that you can literally hold up next to your monitor, and then you can change your monitor settings to at least closely reflect the print that we send you. You don't have to get it exactly the same, but a monitor calibration tool will certainly go a long way to getting that sorted out for you. So
Yeah.
this is a really long-winded answer. I'm sorry. I'll
No,
never be invited back on DearCam again.
I'll butt in there for a second. I use a Calibrate. I use a Spider. It's a Spider X calibration, just because I know Jesse's next question is going to be what calibration should I use? That one is you actually plug it in and hang it over your screen, and it does all these tests and calibrates it. They're not cheap in a way, but if you are looking to do a lot more printing, Jesse, then calibrating your screen really should be the top of your list of things to do. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So what we strive for when we print a photo is consistency. So if you, Jesse, if you sent me a photo today and we printed you and send you the canvas, well, if you've had a customer that ordered the same print in 12 months' time, you can guarantee when we send you the next one, it's going to look exactly the same. So we're looking for consistency.
Question without notice. I'm going to do a Dear Brendan here as well. So this goes back to Jesse's question. So in regards to papers and canvases, so Jesse is obviously worried about printing at places that do a bit more cheaper printing versus maybe printing on a higher canvas. Like the one thing about those sort of cheaper printing places that we mentioned, the one thing I know that they don't do is that they don't have someone like Brendan sitting there making adjustments, to make sure everything lines up, the paper, the photo, the contrast, everything like that. They generally just press a button and print it off. So it's almost like automative where, if you take it to a proper lab, they should be sitting down and making sure that everything looks good before they press the button. But is there much of a difference in paper quality and cost as for saying, like the better paper, is it comparative to the better canvas in regards to pricing, or is canvas still a lot cheaper, or what's the comparison there?
Yeah, I think I get the gist of your question, and that is
good because I
don't. Generally speaking, your mass merchant guys who are printing photos for you will print on one stock, and that is the cheapest they can get their hands on, or the cheapest paper that whoever the company did a deal with. Mate, I've seen people come in with photos that have been printed at Kmart, for example, and oh, look, they were 9 cents a print. Fantastic, great, good on you. Go and save your money. I understand that.
Yeah.
They were terrible. The skin tones just way off. Nothing had been calibrated. You could tell it was just exactly what you just said. You get some kid that sees a picture on the screen and pushes print, and then goes and sells a cushion to someone.
Yeah,
or in the case of other mass merchants, goes and sells an air conditioner. They're not specialists, and every single image that comes through, this is just me blowing my own trumpet, but every single image that comes through camera and photo is looked at and checked. We don't just hit print and go and do something else and come back and put your photos in an envelope. As they're coming through, we're checking, we're looking for, particularly these days, there is a tendency to underexpose images. Now, normally that's because people are a little bit lazy and they shoot family photos that are backlit, they're silhouetted, So if an image comes across like that to me, I don't go, well, you're only paying 9 cents for it print. I go, no, you've come to me because we charge a little bit more because we produce a better quality image. I'm going to correct that for you. We can also print without corrections. That's totally fine. And a lot of pros that we print for will just say, just print these with no corrections because they've calibrated their setup and they know they don't need any changes. So that's totally fine. But we check every image not only when we send it to the printer, but as it comes off the printer as well. We get in the habit of, and if they're not right, we redo them. And even to the point where if you come and pick them up or we send them out to you, and they're not right, and you don't like them, you tell us, we redo them. We don't charge you, we redo them. So make sure that you're happy. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm rabbiting on, but the last thing I'll say about paper stock in particular, is the longevity of the paper. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that we do our 6x4 prints on archival quality paper. We don't. We don't, mainly because if we did, we'd have to charge probably $1.50 per 6x4. Okay. So the longevity of our paper is still very, very good, and I'm talking, 75 to 100 years. If you keep it in an album, it'll outlast anyone. All right. That's fine. But the higher end papers that we use, some of them are archival as well. So which means they'll last, hundreds of years, a lot
Yeah.
longer. So whereas I've seen it happen. People go to Kmart, Harvey Norman, Big Dub, all these places, get their photos printed, and they've faded within 3 months.
Yeah.
Not faded, disappeared, but you can start to see where things
That's right.
are starting to fade. So
I think as well, and this is for Jesse as well. I think if you're taking this much time to think about, how you print your photo canvas or photo paper, good canvas, cheap canvas, whatever it might be, cheap cost or expensive. If you're spending that much thought in what you're going to print off, then obviously your work is at a standard that you are actually putting that effort in with that thought. So to me, for the sake of paying, maybe another 20% or 30% more on top of what the cheaper people do, for the sake of getting a high quality output, it's a no-brainer for me. And if you are looking to sell your work, and you're going to sell that canvas to someone or whatever, then you incorporate that in your pricing, in your costings, and exactly how we've crapped on about why the reason you would do that is exactly the same reason you would give to a customer who's buying a print. If they say, well, Cam only sells his canvases for $99, why is Brendan's $299? Well, Cam gets his printed on cheap, non-archival canvas paper or proto paper. No, it's not calibrated, it's not edited very well, blah, blah. Brendan's work, well, it's printed on high quality paper, edited really well, calibrated, checked. You can sell the sizzle and the sausage at the same time, and that's what you should be doing with your work. So I would say, if you can, everyone's got a budget, but if you can squeeze a bit more out of your budget to get a high quality output canvas or print, do it. And you'll notice it. You'll notice it straight away as well.
It's totally worth it. Totally worth it. So there you go. That was the longest ever Dear Cam. I shall never answer a Dear Cam again.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jesse.
Jeez. I probably will. We have got a special guest.
We have.
We have locked him away. Yes. Cameron, you've done all the work on to get this. This guest.
I've done a lot of work. I think I've done 3 emails, maybe.
Let's tell everyone who it is.
Yeah. So next week we are recording an interview. So we're recording this on Thursday night. Next Wednesday morning, early Australian time, we are getting up, Brendan and I. We are not going to look our best, but we are going to get up early to interview a gentleman who lives in San Diego. His name is Ben Horn. For those who know landscape photography, you should know Ben and his work. He shoots almost exclusively on large format film. If you don't know who Ben is, go check out Ben Horn on YouTube. He does some amazing video adventures. It's in the link apparently, or it's on the screen. It might be both.
Link in description.
Link in description. It's actually written in the notes. Link in description. He actually does amazing YouTube stories. He's a really, really good storyteller. We've had a couple of chats on emails. He's super excited to come down and have a bit of an interview. He's got really big following online. Lots of people love his work. He has an Instagram account. He's on Twitter a fair bit. He has a bit of a piss take Instagram account as well. I think it's called the Wilderness Influencer, where he has a little almost life-size model that he takes around and puts them in red jackets in front of waterfalls and things like that. That's why I think he's pretty cool. But we're going to interview him next week. Really excited to have a chat to him. I said I've never met him before. I've only just emailed him. So he's been very, very kind to give up a bit of his time to come and talk to us down here on the Down South Photo Show. So that should hopefully be up either as the next episode or the one after, depending on how we go and time-wise getting it all sorted. But look up Ben Horn, Horne, landscape photographer, large format film. He does digital as well, but large format film. Think Ansel Adams, think Peter Dombrovskis, think anyone you can think of that's a classic film photographer.
Do yourself a favour, if you're looking up his channel, watch it on a big screen.
Yes,
and
100%.
In full resolution. He puts a lot of effort into, like obviously we do as well, with the quality of his production.
Clearly. Hope he's not watching this.
He probably is. I hope he is. Hi, Ben. We'll chat with you next week. So tune in for that. Exciting. We're like I said earlier, we're hoping monthly to go live. We're also hoping monthly to have a special guest on. So
well, I was going to say with special guests, like I said, this is our first sort of guest. Ash was pretty big. Ash Hughes was a guest host. This will be our first actual guest that we're interviewing. We're not interviewers, although we're doing a little bit of research on this one. We're actually researching. We're going to try and not waste Ben's time and actually make it interesting for him and everyone else. But I was going to say, if anyone's got someone that they love the work of, maybe chuck it in the comments, or send us an email or a message. We have no shame in approaching anyone around the globe to come on the Down South Photo.
Anybody.
Anyone. We will ask anyone, anywhere, to come on this show and have a chat to us. Like I said, Ben's, like, in my opinion, he's very inspirational towards me. Every time I watch one of his videos live on the big screen, or watch it on YouTube on the big screen, I get that itchy trigger finger. I want to go out and shoot. He goes to some amazing places, mostly around the west coast of America. So things like West Coast, West Coast, Death Valley, Zion, all these other cool national parks. But he's a big player in the landscape photography global audience, I think, and for him to come on our measly little Down South photo show is pretty exciting for all of us. So,
but he's just coming on it to get more subscribers.
Clearly, he's coming on. But if you've got anyone else that you think, let's put it out there, I'm happy to embarrass myself to go ask them to come on our little show, and who knows, it might become a show where we just get international superstars, and we still only have 300 followers. Who knows?
Cam's our PR man. I love it. So that's it for the Down South Photo Show, episode number 31. We shall be back next week. Cam, what do you got coming up this week?
I'm doing a photo talk. I think when's your photo talk?
Mine's in a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks. So I'm doing a photo talk on this weekend for the Tasmanian Federation of Photography. So they're an overseeing. I didn't know they actually existed until about a year ago, but Tassie has, like Victoria and everywhere else, has a handful of little camera clubs, and these guys oversee all of them, and they do these bigger events. So we've got a function hall up in Launceston on the weekend where I'm doing a 3-hour chat on landscape photography and editing, which is going to be pretty cool. And then off to the Tarkine next week. And then I've also got some Cradle Mountain workshops that are starting to get full as well. So we've got one in, I think it's June, and then in August for winter. So if anyone's ever keen to come to Cradle Mountain under snow, it is, wow, where it is. You can. It's a specky place. It's a specky place anyway. But chuck some snow. Just think wombats, snow, Cradle Mountain, icy things. So look, that's all on the website, tasphoto.com.au. What about you, young sir?
Big week ahead with business. We've got a lot of orders to get through. I'll be honest. I will be doing those 14-hour days for the next week or so. Not on Sunday though. I have my annual golf day on, so I shall be enjoying that.
Thank you.
But other than that, it will be business as usual and getting our teeth into it. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Down South Photo Show. We will catch up with you for episode number 32 next week. Have you got anything else to add, Cam? That's it?
No, that's it. I'm done. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget, again, just going back to our main topic tonight, Lifeline. If you need to talk to someone, Lifeline and Beyond Blue. The numbers will be in the description below. Get your cameras out. Clear the soul. Get some fresh air. It's good for you.
I intend to. Thanks, everyone. We will see you next week.
Catch us later. Bye.
Bye.